What is going on, guys? I'm Consumer Tech Review, and today I'm going to be counting down the top 5 best budget full-size mechanical keyboards. I'm going to go over the pros and the cons, going from the worst of the best to the best of the best. And if at any point during the video you want to check out any of the 5 keyboards in this video, I'll have Amazon links below for the US, UK, and Canada. I do got you guys, but let's jump into number 5. And that is the Pulsar PKO21 Lunar alloy. This is super budget friendly for a full-size keyboard at just 60 bucks. Pulsar does a great job with build quality. The top is an aircraft grade aluminum with machined painted black edges. It's gorgeous. The bottom is super unique. It is a clear ABS plastic that shows right through to the PCB that is painted red with the Pulsar logo. It looks so cool. This keyboard is using red Altemu switches, which are a linear switch. They feel really good with that really solid build quality. Now let's talk RGB. This thing has per key lighting, has a ton of different modes. You can do static colors, pretty much whatever you want, but it also has these keycaps that are like a low profile style that look really cool and unique. However, it accentuates the RGB because they're raised up above the LEDs. So it actually gives a bigger glow to the keyboard, which I really like. Makes it a little bit brighter, a little bit prettier. However, don't worry if you do want to put custom keycaps on here. These are just a low profile style, not a actual different keycap. So it still has the same MX style. Put any keycap you want on it. Now this keyboard is hot swappable with Altemus, but that's pretty much just there. If you do happen to break a switch, you can replace it with an Altemu switch. However, it is nice to have. Now this does not have a detachable cable, but it is a really nice loosely braided cable, kind of like an ultralight mouse cable. But let's move on to the number 4 spot. That is the Akko 3108. This thing is the most expensive keyboard on the list, coming in at 80 bucks. Now the build quality of this thing is great. It uses a lot of plastic. However, it is not a cheap feeling keyboard. This thing is heavy, it is very solid, and it is beautiful. Now, this is obviously just for somebody very specific that likes this type of keyboard. I personally like it, but I know not a lot of you are gonna like it. Actually, most of you will like it, but it's not most of your guys' style. So that's why it's sitting at the number 4 spot, because a lot of you may have a specific style and don't really want this style because this is very, it's one style. The keycaps on this thing are a double shot PBT die subbed technology. It's crazy. Absolutely the best feeling stock keycaps on the list, hands down. Now let's talk switches. The 3108 is using Akko's own switches, which actually feel really good. And you can either get this with the Akko orange or the Akko pink. The orange is like the equivalent of a brown switch, and the red is the equivalent of like a red switch. These feel better than Gateron's. They do. They feel really, really, really good. And think about it, full-size keyboard, better than Gateron's, 80 bucks. Yeah, there's no RGB lighting or backlighting. This thing is just gorgeous. It's got a lot of artwork. It doesn't need it. Now, this thing is not hot swappable, but it does have a detachable USB-C connection that actually has 3 different channels, so you can channel off your cables and customize them however you'd like. So that's really, really cool. Now let's move on to the number 3 spot. This is the Redragon K556, still a very budget-friendly option, sitting at 60 to 65 bucks. Now the build quality of this thing is absolutely epic. Every single part of this keyboard except the keycaps is straight metal. The top plate is all metal, the sides are all metal, and even the bottom, which is not normal, is all metal. This thing is super heavy, it is super solid, and it is so nice. It also has shiny, machined, exposed metal edges, which just look awesome. Basically what I'm saying is if you guys rage and you break your keyboard, get this one, it won't break. It'll break you. Now this keyboard is using brown switches. You can either get them in browns or reds, and they feel really, really good because of that super solid build quality. This is absolutely the solidest keyboard on the list. That doesn't mean that all the rest are not solid. This one's just very solid. Now the RGB is typical Redragon. You got a bunch of different modes, a bunch of different effects, per key lighting, really whatever you want, a bunch of different static colors. Absolutely no complaints there. Now this thing is hot swappable without Temu, so if one of them breaks, you can throw one back in there, and this is not a detachable cable, so it is a wired cable. Cable is nothing really special. It's gold plated, rubber coated, nothing special. Now let's move on to the number 2 spot, which is the Havit KB395L. This thing is a steal for 70 bucks for everything that it gives you. Build quality is really, really good. You have a full metal top plate with machined shiny edges with the exposed metal with a plastic base, but this thing is super thin because it is a low profile, super thin keyboard. So that makes typing on a desk really, really easy on your wrist because your hands are not raised up. They're like almost flat. It's pretty cool. Now, obviously this is a low profile keyboard, so it is using switches that are Kale switches. They're low profile Kale switches, which if you guys like blue switches, this one comes with blue switches. They feel incredible. These are like amazing. These are like the best blue switches I think I've ever used. And they're low profile switches, so amazing. If you guys like a really satisfying keyboard to type on, it would be this one. The RGB is good. It's got a bunch of different modes and effects and everything else per key lighting, just like all the other keyboards on this list. It's not crazy bright. It's not crazy dim. It's pretty much average, although it is very consistent light, which I do like. This keyboard is not hot swappable, but it does have a detachable cable, although it's not a USB-C. It's a micro USB, which is better than not being detachable at all, but still, I would have liked to see a USB-C on that. Now, the #1 spot goes to the Redragon K580 Veda Pro. Coming in at 73 bucks, it is a great deal and absolutely the best keyboard on the list. Now, the build quality is great. The top plate is made of a metal, and then it has a raised bar that is a high quality plastic that feels really good and solid, and that is where all of the recordable macros are, the multimedia keys, and a scroll wheel, which I absolutely love. The build on this thing is great. Now let's talk switches. This is where it gets interesting. This is using Outemu switches, but not just any Outemu switches. It is using optical brown Outemu switches, which are completely different than Outemu switches. The optical Outemu switches are on a whole nother level, and I absolutely love them. They are so nice to type on. They are so satisfying. They feel good. They're solid. They're great to game on and fantastic to type on. Now, the RGB is awesome. It's typical Redragon. On the top of it, you got per key lighting. It's pretty bright. You got a bunch of different modes, statics, whatever you want, easy to control. But on the left and the right side, you get 2 RGB strips that you can see pretty readily, because a lot of keyboards will have them there, but you can't see them. These you can see almost all the time, and you can customize those however you want. It really gives the keyboard a really cool feel. The cable is not detachable, but it's not a problem because everything this keyboard gives you, especially those switches, which is the biggest part, as well as the scroll wheel, make this my absolute favorite keyboard on the list. Again, if you want to check out any of the 5 keyboards in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, and Canada, but any of these keyboards would be absolutely fantastic if you love full-size mechanical keyboards. It's just that #1 spot with the K580 Pro. It's so good. It is absolutely the best keyboard I have used that is a full size at this price point. But guys, if you enjoyed this video and it helped you out, help me out and throw a like below. And if you enjoy gaming tech reviews that are about keyboards, mice, speakers, anything gaming related like that, I do a ton of those reviews. So please consider, can't talk today. Please consider subscribing below. But this was Consumer Tech Review, and I'll see you guys later.